A sensational piece of news that drastically changes the situation in the Middle East. Iran used a Chinese reconnaissance satellite to monitor American military bases in the region and did so even before the missile and drone attacks on them. It turned out that it was the Chinese satellite that helped Iran target key US military bases in the Middle East, which were hit in the first days of the war. My name is Alexei Pichi. Let's discuss this topic together. But before we start this episode, please subscribe to this channel, like the episode, and leave any comment you want. This is very important for promoting this episode on YouTube. And subscribe to my Telegram channel, Pichi News. The link to it is in the description of this video. So, as a Financial Times investigation revealed today, Iran secretly acquired a Chinese spy satellite, which provided the Islamic Republic with surveillance capabilities. The Republic now has new powerful capabilities to strike American military bases in the Middle East during the war. According to the Financial Times, leaked Iranian military documents show that the Chinese satellite was acquired by the aerospace forces of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps at the end of 2024 after it was launched into space from a launch site in China. The list of coordinates is marked. Satellite images and orbital analysis over time show that Iranian military commanders later instructed the satellite to specifically monitor key US military facilities in the region. Moreover, by tracking the satellite's activity, it became known that it took images of US military bases in March before and after drone and missile strikes on these facilities. Spacecraft TII-01B, built and launched by the Chinese company Eartheye Corporation. The idea is that as soon as this company launches its satellite into orbit from China, it immediately transfers the satellite to foreign customers. But it only transfers it on paper, so supposedly it belongs to a completely different country. And that's not all. As part of the agreement, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps of Iran was given access to commercial ground stations operated by Mossad, a company based, who would have thought, in Beijing, and providing satellite management and data transmission services across the entire country, with a global network covering Asia, Latin America, and other regions. So, the satellite only formally belongs to Iran. In reality, it is completely controlled by the Chinese. And I'll quote the Financial Times. The use by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps of a Chinese-made satellite during a war in which Tehran repeatedly launched missile and drone strikes against its neighbors is likely to cause serious concern throughout the region. China is the largest trading partner of the Gulf countries and the biggest buyer of their oil. And this is where things get really interesting. According to the flight logs, the satellite was photographing Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia on March 13th, 14th, and 15th. Let me remind you, on March 14th, US President Donald Trump confirmed that American planes were attacked at that base. At that time, officially, 5 US Air Force tanker planes were seriously damaged. That is, the Chinese satellite was monitoring the base the day before the attack, on the day of the attack, and the day after it. Because it's hard to say that this is just a coincidence, but it just so happened that the Chinese satellite was specifically monitoring one military base for 3 days. And at the same time, Iran, for some reason, just happened to attack that very base. Interestingly, that satellite didn't monitor this base on any other days. The Chinese satellite also monitored the Muwafaq Salti Air Base in Jordan and facilities located near the US 5th Fleet Naval Base in Manama, which is in Bahrain. And it also monitored Erbil Airport in Iraq. It was exactly at the time when the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps claimed responsibility for attacks on all these listed facilities. Among other areas monitored by this satellite were Camp Buehring and Ali al-Salam Air Base in Kuwait, the US military base Camp Lemonnier in Djibouti, and Duqm International Airport in Oman. The surveillance zone for civilian infrastructure in the Persian Gulf countries included the Khor Fakkan container port and a power plant, as well as the Kidfa desalination plant in the United Arab Emirates, as well as the Alba facility in Bahrain. This is one of the largest aluminum plants in the world. And again, by a strange coincidence, some of these facilities were eventually attacked by Iran. It is known that the TII-01B satellite is capable of capturing images with a resolution of about half a meter, which is comparable to high-quality commercial satellites from Western countries. And this means that Iran could easily distinguish military aircraft, vehicles, and importantly, changes in infrastructure on the ground when soldiers try, roughly speaking, to camouflage certain facilities. At the same time, the most advanced military satellite of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, Noor-3, according to Iran's estimates, is capable of capturing images with a resolution of about 5 meters. And with that, it's already difficult to distinguish any small objects on the ground. Previously, Iran had a satellite with a resolution of 12 to 15 meters. And probably the Pentagon was confident that Iran was still using these outdated satellites. And to help you understand the importance of satellite resolution, I'll show you 3 pictures. The first one, this is a photo from a Chinese satellite with a half-meter resolution, the one Iran has been using for the past month. The second photo, these are already images from the Iranian satellite Noor-3 with a 5-meter resolution. And the third one, this is a photo from the old Iranian satellite with a resolution of 12 meters. Interestingly, the Chinese company EarthEye stated that the satellite was intended for use, quote, in agriculture, ocean monitoring, emergency management, natural resource control, and municipal transportation. But there's also a big question here for American intelligence. The fact is, according to documents reviewed by the Financial Times as early as September 2024, the aerospace forces of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, which oversee Iran's ballistic missile, drone, and space programs, agreed to pay nearly $40 million to gain control over the satellite system. Moreover, this agreement details the expenses, including the cost of the satellite and its launch vehicle, technical support, data infrastructure, and services provided by foreign contractors. According to the agreement, the company Epmasat provides the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps with software and a ground network to control the satellite throughout its entire service life. These systems will transmit commands, receive telemetry and images, and also allow the IRGC to control the satellite's operations from anywhere in the world. The point is that even if the US knows about such a satellite, they can't do anything about it because physically the satellite itself and all control belong to China, not Iran. Iran, roughly speaking, is just renting it. Why am I emphasizing this? The thing is, both in June 2025 and in March 2026, the US and Israel primarily struck Iran's satellite communication ground stations with missiles in order to blind the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. But you can't just strike a Chinese ground station located somewhere in Beijing. One more nuance. The Israel Defense Forces announced the day before that they had struck the main research center of the Iranian Space Agency, where military satellites for gathering intelligence are being developed. But no matter how many facilities are destroyed on Iranian territory, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps will not go blind because, as it turns out, their real eyes are in Beijing. Meanwhile, today Trump boasted that supposedly Xi Jinping wrote him a letter saying that China is not helping Iran in any way. But more on that in the next episode. I'll leave it at that for now. But friends, I want to recommend a YouTube episode that I would suggest even Donald Trump, the President of the United States, should watch. It's called Stop Pretending to Be Normal. This episode is by my favorite psychologist. I've been recommending this YouTube channel to you for a long time. The link will be in the description. Go check it out. There's an excellent analysis there of how all of us are constantly trying to fit in with those around us, trying to suppress certain traits of our character and more. And in doing so, we end up suffocating ourselves a little. That's why I recommend watching this episode. I'll leave the link in the description and in a pinned comment under this episode. And friends, be sure to check it out, watch, and subscribe. That's all for now. Take care of yourselves. Goodbye, everyone.